Hello. Can you guys hear now? Hello, hello. All right. Um, I guess I'll wait for 3 more minutes and then we can get started. Um, okay. I think we'll wait for 2 more minutes. Yeah, I'll just wait for 2 more minutes and then we can get started. Um, okay. I'm just giving time for everybody to join. Um, yeah. Um, Hello. Is the voice better now, or is it still faint? Um, Someone let me know. My headphones were having problems initially, so I had to change to these ones. Is the voice better now? It's still quite low? Okay. Mm, what's happening? Okay, is it better now or not? Loud and clear now. Okay, awesome. Sorry, I feel like I was using earpods for the first time for live streaming, and I don't know what's happening. They aren't working. Um, I guess we can get started. I'm gonna be looking towards this side just to see the chat. So don't yeah. Uh, it's just me looking at the chart and not getting distracted. Just letting you know. All right. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, and yeah, good night for some people. And welcome to today's live stream. Today we're going to be continuing with the first part that we did last week, and that was about whitelist. Um, Whitelist Dapp, and we were trying to build a whitelist for one of the NFT collections known as Crypto Devs. This is the first, I think, programming level on sophomore track. And yeah, we were able to successfully complete the first part. That was like creating the smart contract. So I guess you all should have by now completed the smart contract at least, and you should have an address. And today we're going to learn how to interact with that address using ethers.js and other libraries. Basically, we're going to create a front end for being able to interact with the DApp, with the address and the smart contract that we deployed last time. So where we exactly are is, I guess, here. So yeah, so we deployed, we completed this thing, and now we're going to be like going towards the website part of the stuff. And this is where the interesting part comes in. So let's get started. So we'll be using React and Next.js to code up our website. React is a front-end framework, and it's a JavaScript framework. Next.js is a framework on top of React, essentially, and yeah, it's also one of the very widely used frameworks these days. Yeah, it also allows you to write backend APIs along with the front end, which is pretty cool, right? You don't need a separate backend. You can have like the backend and the front end in one repo, which is pretty cool because it's easier for beginners to get started because they don't have to set up separate repositories. Everything is in one repo, and it's pretty easy and seamless. All right, so our folder structure for this session is going to look like Whitelist Dapp, which is basically going to be your root folder. And then there is going to be the hard hat tutorial folder that we created in the part 1. And then is going to be like the app, my app, that we're going to create today. Okay, so let's get started. Okay, do we have any questions right now? No. Okay, so let me close this. Open up your terminal, whichever terminal you use. I guess it's going to be command line for Windows, and for Mac you can use the inbuilt terminal. It doesn't really matter, or you can use iTerm. This is the terminal I'm using, but for Windows, I feel like you guys should use command line just to be, because I feel like with hard hat essentially there are some problems with using PowerShell, so I guess we can be consistent and just use command line just to avoid any difficulties later on. Okay, so cd wherever your folder was. Okay, whitelist. So yeah, so this is my root folder, and now I'm gonna open my VS Code. This is the code editor I'm using. You can use any code editor you want, but yeah, I'm gonna be using VS Code. It has an inbuilt terminal with it, so it would be better for me. All right. Nice. So this is the contract. This is the hard hat tutorial folder that we created last time. Nice. So I think the command we used last time to deploy was this one. I'm going to deploy again because I forgot the address and I didn't note it down. But you should note it down so that you don't have to deploy again. Oh yes, I also have to do. I also have to do npm install first. You don't have to do this. Cd hard hat tutorial. You don't have to do this because you already did this last time. I'm just getting the address. You don't have to do this. Just give it 1 second. My internet is a little bit slow today, I guess. Otherwise, it won't take so long to install all the libraries. Nice. All right, and now we can deploy our contract once again so that I have the address this time. Boom, nice. And we can go to Rinkby. Oh gosh, what's happening? Okay, I thought Rinkby is down. That would have been pretty bad for us, but I think it's fine. All right. Okay, so we have the contract address now here, and it says address. Pretty cool. Okay, now let's get started with the My App part, and this is where the actual tutorial begins. You already had done the previous parts of the tutorial. So to create the next app, this is the command we're going to be using. So just copy this command to your terminal, and you should go back, and it should be pointing towards your Whitelist Dapp folder. Your terminal should be pointing towards Whitelist Dapp. That's the root folder, and then you just paste it, press Y, and then press enter for everything, and it should create a folder for you. Okay, awesome. It already tells you what you're supposed to do, but we suggest by typing this. So let's just do that. Cd my app, and then npm run dev, and boom. Okay, it started the server. It should be on, if you go localhost 3000. Nice. It gives you a default. It gives you some default HTML and stuff, but we're gonna be replacing this and creating our own app. Yeah, but it's nice that it gives you some initial steps, initial stuff. All right. Okay, the next thing we're going to be using is Web3 Modal. Web3 Modal helps us to connect with various browser wallets. So like MetaMask, Dapper, any other, like there are many wallets that it supports. So it's pretty nice for us, right? Like we don't have to individually go and configure every wallet. We can just use Web3 Modal, and it provides us with a lot of code. It has lots of supporting code for easily integrating with these wallets. So that's why we use Web3 Modal. In our tutorial, we'll just be using MetaMask, but if you go ahead and you build a production level dApp, you might want to integrate with more wallets than just MetaMask. So then in that case, it turns out to be pretty useful. But just for the learning purposes, we will be using Web3 Modal. And yeah, later on, when you're in a hackathon, or when you're deploying a full-fledged dApp, it would turn out to be pretty useful for you. Okay, so I'm going to close this, clear my terminal, and install this inside my app folder. And boom. Nice. Zoom in. Oh, sorry, I didn't zoom in. Okay. I feel like these are just the commands you have to copy from the GitHub URL. I think I should paste it here or somewhere. Yeah, this is the GitHub URL. You can copy the commands from here if you want. But Yeah, I hope you guys can see it now, if it's better. Okay. Next thing we're supposed to do is install Ethers.js. Ethers.js is a library which helps us to connect with these smart contracts. I think we talked about it in freshman track, what Ethers.js does, but it basically provides you with lots of functions and provides you with lots of codes so that you can directly, interact with the ABI and then further connect to the smart contracts. And yeah, it's pretty useful. And yes, we'll use Ethers.js to interact with our smart contract today. Um, so let's go ahead and install this. Again, this is a command I'm copying from GitHub, and it's also going to be in the, if you go to our website and click on Whitelist Dapp level, it should have all these instructions for you. There's no black magic happening here. Okay, nice. Do we have any questions? No. Okay. Awesome. So we have installed everything we want, and now we're gonna go ahead and download this image. This image is, placeholder image for a CryptoDev NFT collection that we are planning on launching, and I think we can download it from here. Right. Okay. I'm gonna go to desktop. Yeah, and where you're supposed to store this is on your public folder, and boom, nice. So it got saved, and yep, the name is correct. It should be cryptodevs.svg, and that's where it downloaded to. So we're good with that. Then this is some inbuilt CSS we gave you. So this is not a CSS tutorial, and that's why this CSS is pretty like basic. But if you guys want to like customize and want to create better dApps, feel free to do so. But we have some simple, very simple CSS here, like with some margins, font size, width, height, margin depth. So it's pretty simple. If anybody wants to give it a read, they can go ahead and read it. There's nothing special happening here. So I'm not gonna be like going through what's happening here because it's very simple CSS. I'm just gonna copy the CSS because I wanna not waste time on this. So go to your home.module.css. It's going to be inside your styles folder, and replace the already existing CSS code with the CSS file that's provided here, and we should be good to go. Do we have any questions? No. Okay, nice. Okay, I've zoomed in pretty a lot because now we're gonna actually start coding stuff. If you have any questions till now, please let me know, because now we're gonna be doing the real stuff and getting started with programming our actual file, which is gonna have the core part of the code. Okay, no questions. Alright, so inside your pages folder, you should already see a file called as index.js. So we'll be using this file to write our code. So go ahead and delete the existing stuff here. We don't need this. And you should now have a return statement and this default function. So we're going to be writing some React code, and we'll use React hooks. React hooks is a library which is used with React, and it also helps in managing the state. And yeah, so you can go ahead and read more about React hooks. Again, I'll not cover React hooks in detail because that's again very Web2 related stuff, and we're going to concentrate on Web3 here. And React hooks, you can find lots and lots of tutorials on that, which are much better than what I can teach you. So I'm not going to focus on that, but whatever hooks we use, I can talk about them here. Okay, so let's write our first dApp, I guess, for a few people. Okay, so divs are basically used to represent a code block. Then head is used to give a header. Then we should have a footer. You can code along with me if you want. And there's a header, there's a footer, there's a div, and then there's going to be a main div where we're going to have our actual stuff. All right, so let's give our title. So let's give our dApp a title, and it's going to be called Whitelist Dapp. Nice. Then we want to give a meta tag. Meta tag is basically useful for providing any metadata related to your dApp. So when you're sharing your link, it has some metadata associated with it, and what content it's going to show when someone shares it with someone else. So this is what metadata is used for. Okay, so if you have any questions, let me know. You can ask React questions here, like with whatever we are doing. But yeah, this is the title we are giving, and this is the meta. It's like some metadata related to our dApp. So we're gonna give a name, description, and the content is Whitelist Dapp. Nothing special going on here. Okay. Now, class name. This is to give some classes. So like here you can give classes related to styles. So if you look at your home.module.css, we created a main CSS object, and we gave some CSS properties to it. So we want, because this is our main div, we want these styles to apply to this div, and that's why we said use this styles for this div. And that's what basically it's doing here. Then we're going to have a header. H1 stands for header. Oh, sorry, not header, heading. Header, I'm sorry. It stands for heading. And then we're going to have styles.title. So this is basically here. Yeah. So we're using this CSS property for our header because it kind of acts like a title. So why not, right? And we're going to say, welcome to Crypto Devs. This is the name of our NFT collection. Nice. Do we have any questions? No. Okay. Nice. So this is the header. This is the div. Welcome to Crypto Devs. Then another div. Div is just like a block of code. Nothing special about it. Class name, and then styles.description. So description is, this is the title we gave to our React app, and now this is some description we are writing related to our app. And this is the CSS property we gave. You can change whatever CSS we have here. This is pretty basic, I know. So yeah. So number of whitelisted. So we want to show how many people have whitelisted till now. Have already joined the whitelist. Okay. And let's create this variable. So so this is how you can write variables in JSX. So this is React uses JSX, and to signify that this variable that we're saying, it's not a string. Like all this is a string, but here it's actually a variable. So number is going to be like a number, right? Number of whitelisted is going to be a number, and to signify, to add it here, you need these kind of brackets around it. Okay, so let's create a variable const whitelisted number of and use state 0. Okay, nice. It should have already imported this for you. Like if you type it, VS Code auto imports it for you. But this is basically how many number of people have joined our whitelist now, and you can see now this turned out to be blue, right? Because our VS Code is able to understand that this is now a variable that we are using, and it's not string because we added these brackets here. And what this is doing is, so use state is it retains a stateful value and a function to update it. So use state is just to set a state for a variable, and it returns basically a stateful value. So stateful value is like the initial state for number of whitelisted, and it returns a function to update it. And the function to update it is set number of whitelisted. So this is the function, and this is the variable to update it. And this is the React hook, which is used to set the value of this variable. Okay, we don't have any questions till now, which is nice. So this is awesome. We're gonna set it later, but for right now, we just initialized it to 0, meaning that nobody has been whitelisted till now. Nice. So that's pretty cool. Okay, the next step I think would be to use the image that we had downloaded before. Okay. The image was here in the public folder, and public folder by default is like you don't have to write ./public. If you do ./ the image name, your DApp already knows that you're trying to use something from the public folder. So that's why we don't say .public. But yeah, let's add another div. Nice. So this is the div. It would have an image tag, class name. Again, we're going to use styles.image because we already created it. And then src is equal to ./crypto devs.svg. Close this. Nice. So yeah, so as I said, you don't need to say ./public. If you only mention ./crypto devs.svg, your React app knows that it's trying to use the public folder. That's why you don't need to like say ./public. It knows that you're using the public folder. And then I'm just like using the image tag. This is from HTML. I'm using the styles, and this is my source. So what image I want to use? I want to use the crypto devs SVG that I downloaded. Nice. So that was pretty simple. And then we're gonna just add some cool styling for the footer, because why not? Again, this is something we had added in our CSS here. So this is the footer, and made with by CryptoDevs. Okay, and I just want to say made with love, so I'm gonna search for ASCII for heart. Sorry, ASCII for heart. Nice. I can have this one. This looks pretty good. And yeah, you can paste it here. You can't paste like symbols directly, so yeah, you need the ASCII value for it. Nice. Let's see how it looks till now. Npm run dev, and it looks pretty good. This should be on the next line, but I think it looks pretty good. The heart looks pretty nice. We have the image. Cool. And it says 0 because we had initialized our state to 0. Okay. Which one? I have a question: Web3.js versus Ethers.js. Which one is better? I guess like Web3.js was the initial when we were starting like 2-3 years ago. Web3.js was more common, but Ethers.js is much more faster now and is much more widely used. So I would suggest, like, if you're like starting and you're learning, I think you should just get started with Ethers.js and not use Web3.js. I know like lots of tutorials have Web3.js, but those tutorials are very old. That's why we created LearnWeb3, right? Like, because there are so many tutorials out there, but they're outdated. And now, because crypto world keeps changing so fast, it's important for us to keep updating the tutorials. And Web3.js is kind of old now, and nobody uses it. I know lots of students ask this question, but that is because you see and learn from the old tutorials. But now nobody really these days. Most people prefer to use Ethers.js, I guess. Yeah, that's I guess. So which one is better? I feel like for learning, definitely go with Ethers.js and not Web3.js. All right, we don't have any more questions, so I guess I'm doing a good job. Nice. Okay. All right, let's try using the contract now and try to do some more nice stuff. This was very simple. So we're going to use something called as use effect. Let me just write some code and then I can explain what's happening and what React use effect basically does. Wallet connected. So we're going to use effect to connect with our wallet, which is going to be MetaMask in our case. Give me some time to write some code, and then I'm going to go ahead and explain what's happening. When I'm in my zone, I want to write and then explain, so that otherwise I'll make some mistake and then I can't figure out. So it's just better to, like, when you're in the zone, just finish it up and then Web3 modal network. be Wrinkly in our case. Then provider options. I don't think we need provider options, so we can leave that and disable enabled injected provider. No, we need the injected provider. Nice. And we need to connect the wallet if the wallet is not connected. Okay, nice. Okay, let me like explain what I was doing. Alright, so if you hover over this, what use effect does, so it's use effect initially loads on load of the page. So like when you load the page, when you like refresh the page, use effect is called. But another impressive thing it does is like if it accepts a list of dependencies. So for example, this variable that I created, which is called, oh actually I forgot to create this variable. Let's create this variable. It's called wallet connected, and set wallet connected, use state false. So it's like a boolean variable which lets use effect know if the user has connected their wallet or not. And this is again the function that's used to set this wallet connected, and we have initially set the value to false. So what use effect does is, like initially it just loads on the first render, that is the first, when you first open the page or when you refresh the page, but it also takes in dependencies, which is like if the value of this variable changes, then use effect is going to get called again. So it's like you can have a list of variables here, and you can separate them by comma, and then there can be many variables here, and if any of the variables changes, this function gets called again automatically. So that's what use effect is used for. Yeah, I think their documentation is a little bit confusing, but that's what it does. It initially gets called on the load, and then it also has certain dependencies. So like if the value of this changes from true to false, it's going to get called, or false to true, again it's going to get called. So yeah, that's what it does. Home. Okay. There's a question, what does function home do? This is so like if you go to app.js, like this is basically where you like write your code in React. Like this is like your homepage. Oh, sorry, I think there's a okay. We need to still initialize this, but this is where you know like your initial code you have to write. This is where you get started on React. I don't exactly remember where they used to call home. I think it was component page props. I think it's internally called here or something, like you provide page props and oh yeah, I remember. Sorry. So it's like in Next, all these pages you create, they get created by themselves. I think like if you go /home or something. Oh yeah, because we created this inside the index.js. Now I remember, sorry. So index.js is the page that gets rendered by default. Like it's the initial page that gets loaded here. In React, like if you create a new file, like, sorry, in Next.js, if you create a new file like home.js, and then if you copy this code into home.js, it creates a new like page for you. So let me fix this error and then I can explain what I'm saying, because import Web3 modal from Web3 modal. Okay. Yeah. Okay. Is it showing? Oh, connect wallet is not declared. Okay, let's comment this out right now. And nice. So this is the initial page that loads, and that's why it's called index.js. But now if you go ahead and we copy this code into home.js, and if you go home, see, it takes you to the same page. So it's basically like you're creating a page. So that's why it's called pages folder. So more pages you add, the more, that's the route it's gonna get added to. So for example, if I change this to something like and see, this again automatically goes to 404 because now no page like that exists. But if I go to haha, it does this for me. So yeah, that's what it's used for. But by default, it's going to render the index.js file. I'm going to go ahead and delete this. Okay. Nice. Should I increase my volume? Can you guys hear me now better or no? So someone is asking, suppose I have deployed a contract, now I want to add extra function to that deployed contract. Yeah, you need to deploy a new contract with your changes, because contract once deployed cannot be changed. So yeah, you need to deploy it again, unfortunately. That's why you need to make sure that when you're deploying a contract, when you're deploying a contract, you're not making any mistakes. You should well test your code, write tests for it, and then it would be better. I'm so sorry, my earphones are having so many problems today. I don't know what's happening, but yeah, once your contract is deployed, you cannot change it. That's why it's very, very important that you test your code properly. You write intensive tests for what's happening. Okay. Someone also asked, is there any JS library for Solana? We have to go for Rust. Their smart contracts are in Rust, so yeah, like you need to learn Rust to write their smart contracts. I'm not well versed with Solana myself. I'm still learning Solana, so I can't. I'm not the best person to ask this question, but yeah, I think their smart contracts are in Rust. Okay. Nice. Where were we? Here. Oh, this. Ha ha ha. Yeah, I deleted this route. Nice. Okay. So where was I? Yeah. So use effect. So I explained what use effect is. So on this line, we're basically checking if the wallet is connected or not. If wallet is not connected, this is how we do not in JavaScript. You create a new Web3 modal instance, right? So as I told you, Web3 modal is used for connecting with the wallet. So we need to connect with MetaMask, and we're going to say, okay, create a instance of Web3 modal, provide the network as ring-p. We don't need any provider options, and injected provider to be false. So injected provider is basically the wallet that's going to inject the code into the browser. So yeah, we need that. So yeah, we don't want to disable it. That's why we set this to false. And what is this useRef? Okay, so let's see what it says. useRef returns a mutable ref object whose current property is initialized to the past argument. The returned object will persist for the full lifetime of the component. So what this means is that when you use ref, so for the whole time that the component is initialized, which means by component they mean the web page is initialized, the value of this is gonna persist. It's gonna remain, and that's what we want, right? Like once the wallet is connected, once it's, we don't want it to we don't want to keep connecting to it. We want it to remain connected, and that's why once it's initialized, like yeah, then it's going to remain, and that's why we use ref. It's to persist for the full lifetime of the component, till the component or the web page closes or something. So that's what it's used for. And as they say, that we need to initialize the dot current property to like the initial value. So that's what we're doing here, right? So we are taking the current value and we are initializing it to the to a new Web3 model instance. And that's how you basically create a new class, instance of class in JavaScript. So you say new, and then Web3 modal takes in these arguments. Their documentation is, I can't see it here, but you can go to their GitHub, and they basically need these properties. So you need to specify the network, provider options we don't need, and yeah, if you're disabled injector provider, which is false, because we need the injector provider, we need MetaMask, right? So that's what we did, and so that's what we're doing, and we also need to connect the wallet now, right? Like right now we just created an instance. This instance is not doing anything. We want it to do something for us. So let's go ahead and create this function. Called connect wallet. So const connect wallet. Const, and try catch console.log console.error, and set wallet connected to true. Nice. So we set the wallet connected to true. So this means like after this is initialized, MetaMask is going to get connected. Then we call this function and we said that, okay, our wallet is connected now. Yeah, do we have any questions? Can we redirect the users from old contract to new contract? Yeah, like you can redirect, right? Like you can initialize your contract with all the state that was there in the old contract. So you basically have to initialize your new contract with all the state that was there before in the old contract, and then you can ask your users to use the new contract basically, or you can point your website to use the new contract, and that's how you can redirect them. So you first need to initialize your new contract with the new state, and then point your users through the website, or just let them know that you have to use the new contract now. Yeah. Okay. Nice. So we created an instance of Web3 model, which basically helps us to connect with MetaMask. Then we call this function, which is called connect wallet, and yeah. Okay. So we need to get the provider or signer from the. Let's actually see if this is working till now. Connect wallet is not defined. Oh, I forgot to save. My bad. Okay, nice. Oh, this browser doesn't have MetaMask. Let me open up a new MetaMask. Okay, this has MetaMask. Let's see. Nice. Okay, but right now it's like it shows connected, but yeah, there's the UI is not very intuitive. Okay, I'm gonna close it here because I don't need it here. Okay, um, so connect wallet, set wallet connected. Again, I'm gonna write some code here. Get provider or signer. Um, check if address is whitelisted and get number of whitelisted. Okay, so get provider or signer is to basically get the provider or signer from the injected Web3, that is MetaMask. Provider or signer is basically used, signer is used to sign transactions, and provider is used to, connect with the with the contract and get the state from the contract. That's like used for read functions. But signer is for like signing the transactions, and it's basically used to like let the contract know that it's your account that's trying to like send the transaction, and you sign the transaction, and that's what signer is used for. So we're going to write these functions now. Then check if address whitelisted is to help us know if the current address that is connected is whitelisted or not. And get number of whitelisted is going to be used to get the number of addresses that have been whitelisted till now. Okay, so the first important function is const get provider or signer, because we need a provider or signer to essentially call any to send with the contract. Ethers needs it, and then try catch. Error. And const provider. So const provider is going to be web3 modal dot current dot connect. So this is how you connect with the injected Web3. So you said like you initialize the Web3 model, and now you're like connecting with it. You're getting the provider from it. So it doesn't show you the documentation, but it does return the provider to you, and that's how you connect. And then we have a provider equal to new provider So now what it does, yeah. So it gave you a provider instance, right? But now we have this this class which is called like the Web3 provider class, and this is provided to us by Web3 modal. And what we do is like we provide this provider to the Web3 provider so that it can wrap it around a nice class, and we can use these functions, we can use the functions from this class to interact and to basically use like whatever they have built for us, right? Because this is just like, it's just an object, and we really can't do anything with it. But when we put it in this class that is provided to us by Web3 modal, we can use this class functions to do the things that we really want to do. So like one of the things we want to do is check for chain ID, because we only want our users to get connected to Ring B. So if they're connected to anything else, we should show them an error, right? Because we want them to only get connected to Rinkeby. So if chain ID is not equal to 4, I should throw an error. So 4 is the chain ID for Rinkeby. So if my app is not connected to Rinkeby, change the network to Rinkeby. Nice. And I'm gonna throw error, throw new error, change network to Rinkeby. Okay. So what are we doing here, right? So we got this provider instance by connecting, and what it does is basically connect with MetaMask. We saw here. This is connected, and then it wraps this provider around a Web3 provider class that's provided to us by Web3 modal library. And this Web3 provider class now has this function called as getNetwork, which helps us to detect the network that the user is connected to. And this getNetwork returns to us something called as chain ID. And chain ID is like the ID of the chain that you're connected to. So every chain has a ID associated with it. And Rinkeby, the chain ID is 4. So you can check if the user is connected to Rinkeby or not. So like if I go to Robson and I refresh, it should throw me an error. Oh, okay, yeah, never mind. I haven't returned the Web3 provider. One second, I should first finish. Yeah, I need to return the Web3 provider. I need to do this, and nice, I did this. Do we have any questions? Okay, no. All right. Let's finish the code first, and then we can see if it's working. Otherwise, we're gonna get bugs. But yeah, so what are we doing here is like we're getting the network, we're checking the chain ID, and boom. Okay. You can also see like I got this variable called as need signer, and what it basically says is that if my function says that I also need to sign the transactions because I'm going to change the state of the contract, it's not a read call, it's a write call, then I need a signer. And if someone passes this as true, then I need a signer. And I'm going to return a signer instead of provider. So just to make myself again clear, get signer. So again, this is a function from the Web3 provider class. Return signer. Nice. Okay, so yeah, this is again a function that's within this Web3 provider class that Web3 modal gave to us. And again, signers are used for signing the transactions, for doing write transactions, but providers are used for like only read. You can only read the data from smart contract using providers, but for signers, you need to sign the transaction for like writing anything to the contract, and that's why you need the signer object, which you can get using this class that we've wrapped our provider into. So this is pretty cool, right? Okay, let's see what's happening here. It's saying providers.web3 provider is not a constructor. Let's see what's happening here. Okay. I think maybe because I forgot to I imported this from my I don't think it needs the Web3 modal one. One second, let me check what's happening. Oh, okay, never mind. Yeah, yeah, it imported it from the wrong library. Yeah, no, I think it doesn't work if you use the provider from the Web3 modal one. I don't know why that wasn't working, but I think if you use the providers from Ether, then it works. Okay, yeah. So don't use the one from Web3 modal. I was using it and it was causing me problems. I think you need to use the one from Ethers. And yeah, you just need to do providers, then dot web3 provider, and you need to use the web3 provider class from Ethers and not from web3 modal, because that's apparently not working. But I think from Ethers it's working, so we'll just use Ethers. Yeah, and now it gives you an error if the user is not connected to Rinkeby. So that's nice. Now we can go back and okay. So yeah, just make sure, because VS Code by default is going to use the Web3 modal one, but I think that's not working. So get the one from Ethers, and then add this provider, use the Web3 provider class that Ethers gave you, and then you can use the get network function from this class and the get signer function to sign, and boom, we're done with our first function. So that's nice. Do we have any questions? No. Okay. Okay, so that's pretty good. We have made some progress. Now I think the next function is check if address is whitelisted. Okay, if address is whitelisted. If you have any questions, please let me know. I'll be happy to answer. Okay. Okay. Nice. Check if address is whitelisted. Nice. So now we have a beautiful function that returns to us signer and the provider. So I said I want a signer, so I sent a true value here. So it's going to return the signer to me and not the Web3 provider, because I want to do some more stuff. And let's initialize our contract here. Can you contract? Again, I think this needs to be from Ethers and not, let's see, does it import? Okay, nice. This time it imported it from Ethers. So yes, make sure your import is from Ethers. And then we need to pass some values here. Okay, what does it need? It needs address or name. It needs contract and then signer provider. Okay, nice. So we need to provide it with some information, but we don't have it initialized right now. So let's do something and create a new folder called as constants, because this, if you look at the contract, right, like it needs the address and it needs the contract interface, which is basically the ABI, and then it needs the signer or provider. We have the signer, but we don't have these two things. So let's import it here. So create a new folder called as constants, and create a new file called as index.js. Inside this constants folder, and now comes the cool part. We are going to use our contract address. Nice. So my contract address was here, I think. Yes. But you can copy yours here. Nice. It did this for me. I'm going to close this. And then const ABI. I also need the ABI. which is application binary interface, which is I think we talked about it in freshman. What ABI is used for is to provide an interface for the external world to know what is inside, what kind of functions and variables are inside your contract. So to get the ABI, go to your hard art tutorial folder, go to artifacts, then contracts, then whitelist.sol, and then whitelist.json. Copy this array inside the ABI thing, ABI key, and we only need this array, and paste it here. So you see, like, it gives you a good interface for all the functions we had. So we had add address to whitelist, so that was basically used to add any address to the whitelist, max number of whitelisted addresses, number of addresses that have been whitelisted. So all these functions that are there in the ABI are going to let ethers or like this instance know what kind of functions we can call on this contract, and that's what the use of the ABI is. Okay, nice. So now we're going to use whitelisted contract address, and it's going to auto import it for you from the constants folder. And I think we need to add the ABI as I mentioned before, and the signer. Nice. Do you have any questions? No. Okay. Nice. So I created a signer, even though this is like initializing of the contract, like all these things are needed. I'm going to also get the address that is currently connected to. So I'm going to say await signer dot get address. This signer was basically this signer we got from here, and from this signer we need to get the address, and that's why we say signer dot get address. And now we can say const underscore joined whitelist is equal to await whitelist contract dot whitelisted addresses, and then we're going to pass this address and set join the whitelist to whitelist. So what this function basically was doing was it was checking if the current address is whitelisted or not, right? And in our contract, if you look at our contract, we have this mapping called as whitelisted addresses, which is a public mapping. And what it does is, like, if you pass the address, it lets you know if the address is in the whitelist or not. So it's like you pass in the address and then it lets you know if it's true or not. So because this address, this function was checking if a given address is in whitelist or not, we called this mapping, and it was a public mapping, and we passed the address, and it lets us know if the address was in the whitelist or not. So this variable is going to be a boolean, which is going to tell us that if someone has joined, if the address that's currently connected is in the whitelist or not. And then we set it, but we haven't created this variable, so let's just go ahead and do that. Set join whitelist, and boom, joined. And initially we set this to false. Okay, so you join the whitelist, and you created this variable, and then this variable is going to keep track of whether the user has joined the whitelist or not. The last function we are supposed to do is get number of users that have been whitelisted. So this function was checking if the current connected address is whitelisted or not. And now we're going to do a function that's going to check how many users have already joined my whitelist. Get number of whitelisted, async, um, um, okay, try catch to catch any errors, console dot error, error, and what are we trying to catch here? Oh, also, even though this was just a read function, we initialized it with a signer because we also needed the signer for the address, so might as well just use a signer here. But here, because we only need to get, right? So it's like a read function, we only need the provider. Here, because, so you can use signer for read functions, but people, like, it's better to just use the provider. Yeah, and I needed the signer for getting the address, so instead of redeclaring the provider and the signer, I just used the signer here. The next, so I got the provider now. I'm going to again do this. I'm going to set the provider here this time, and const whitelisted. Whitelist contract dot addresses. So yeah, so this function again is what we saw here. This public variable which keeps track of how many addresses have been whitelisted. So we just call this variable, and it's going to return us the number of users that have been whitelisted, addresses that have been whitelisted, and then we set it using the set function. And we already had a function, we already had a declaration for this, so we don't need to add any further declarations. So nice. This is also done, and that's pretty awesome. We have almost all completed half of the code. I think the only part that you all can guess is that's remaining is how do I add my address to the whitelist, right? That is the biggest question here now. So right now we're just getting, everything is check. So we didn't do anything related to adding an address to the whitelist. So let's do that. So first we need to create a button so that people can use that to connect or to add their address to the whitelist. So let's create a function called render button for that, and we're gonna render some buttons based on what the state of our app is. So if wallet connected and joined whitelist, so if my wallet is connected and I have joined the whitelist, I don't need to join the whitelist again. So I'm just gonna return and say thanks for joining the whitelist, because I'm already, the address that's connected is already in the whitelist. So just return this. Okay. Else if, okay, maybe else here I need to return a button which allows me to basically join the whitelist. So join the whitelist. Nice. And on click, I'm going to write a function which basically add address to whitelist. So when user clicks this button, we're going to add them to the whitelist. And styles, let's add some styles here. So styles.button. Again, this is from the CSS library that we used. Actually, we should also add some styles here. So class name is equal to styles dot maybe description. Yeah, because this is just a description. And yeah, again, and maybe we can also add a button for like if somebody hasn't connected their wallet. So this is like, this whole thing is for if they have connected the wallet, what if they haven't, right? So maybe they can connect your wallet, and we can add a button here. And on click, I think it just needs to call the connect wallet function that we created before, right? You remember? We created it here. Yeah, this one. So we just call this, and let's give it some class. So styles.button. Nice. Okay. Let's also add a loader. So if there's any loading state, we can set it. Again, it's going to be a button, and I'm gonna say loading. It's pretty plain. I know, like we should have had better styles, but it's okay for learning purposes. Cool. This looks pretty good. We have a button now. We have everything. We just need to call this function somewhere because we haven't called it anywhere. Where can we call it? I think we can call it here. Let's do that. Render button. Okay. Again, because this is a function, I need to write it in these brackets and then call the function. It's giving me an error. Loading is not defined. Oh yeah. We didn't define the loading variable. So const loading. This is just to like set a loading state and use state false. So initially my loading state is false. Okay, and it also needs this add address to whitelist function. Okay, I guess we can create it. So const add address to whitelist, async, try catch. Everything is very similar, right? So like if you understand one thing, it's pretty easy for you to understand what's going on in the other functions because it's basically the same thing. So again, you get the signer, you call this function get provider or signer, you set it to true, you copy this because again you need to initialize a contract, then you need to await whitelist contract dot add address to whitelist. So we need to call this function, right, because this is going to add address to whitelist. So let's just call this one. Nice. And what it does is like it takes some time to add the address to whitelist, so it returns me a transaction object. I need to wait for this transaction to get mined. So I'm going to set my loading to true because I'm waiting for my transaction to mine, and I'm going to wait for this transaction to get mined. And then again, when it's done, like when it's mined, I can set the loading to false again and await get number of whitelisted. Why did I call this again? Because now the number of whitelisted people would have increased, right? Because obviously I joined the whitelist, so I'm going to fetch it again so that I can get the most updated number of people in the whitelist. And I'm going to say that this user joined the whitelist. So I set the joined whitelist to true because this variable was keeping track of whether the current address has joined the whitelist or not. Okay, hopefully now it doesn't give me an error. The UI is a little bit not looking that nice, but let's see if it works. So I'm gonna call join whitelist. I'm gonna confirm and see. Okay, it's loading. This means it's mining. That's pretty good. Also, it would fail if your account doesn't have any Rinkeby ether. So make sure that you get some ether from the faucet. Oh, nice. Nice. See, it already updated. It said one have already joined the waitlist. Thanks for joining the waitlist. And boom. I think that was pretty good. You can also connect with another wallet and see and join again. Loading state. We'll fix this, the UI, but I think the functionality is working pretty good. Oh, sorry, what did I do? Okay, nice. Thanks, and boom. Nice. And you can also go to your contract on Etherscan and see that it called this function, and everything is looking pretty good. Do we have any questions? What is the use of bn.js? Oh, big number. I think we learn it in the. It's not here in this tutorial, but big numbers are used for representing big numbers like UN256, which is beyond the range of number library, or sorry, the default number variable in JavaScript. I don't exactly remember range for number in JavaScript, but I'm pretty sure it can't do, yeah, it can, number for 42, is there a range number? I don't exactly remember what the range is, but it doesn't like go up till 2 to the power 256. And to represent a number which can go up till 2 to the power 256, you need to use big number library, and that's what it is used for, because I think it goes till 2 to the power something like 40 or 50. I don't exactly remember what the exact range is, but yeah. Can a whitelist have a maximum? I think we already have a maximum. Did we not? Yeah, we already have a whitelist maximum. So if it goes beyond 10, I guess, then yeah, you can play with this, and if the number goes up till 10, 11th person won't be able to join, because we check in our contract that the number of addresses whitelisted should be less than the max number, which we set to 10. Otherwise, it won't allow you to add address to whitelist. It will just error out and say, hey, you can't add it anymore. The max is already there. Yep. Nice. Any more questions? Meanwhile, while I'm waiting for questions, maybe I can fix this UI issue. So my head is here, my div, and inside my div, oh, I think I need to wrap this in a div. It's always hard to find what's happening with your, okay, so it's better now. let me check how we did it here. Okay, we did a dev class. Okay, let me try copy this, see if it works. Number of whitelisted. What? We have this variable. Okay, nice. Okay. I don't know what was happening with my code, but you can play around styling issues. But now it looks nice. Okay. Wow, we finished it on time. That's pretty nice. If you have any questions, let me know. I know it can get a little bit tricky initially. I hope it was clear, and yeah, it made sense. I'm gonna stick around for like 3 minutes. If you have any questions, anything. But it seems pretty easy, right? Like after it, everything is basically the same format. You're getting a signer, you're initializing a new contract, you're calling a function, and then you're checking for any errors. It's almost the same for everything once you have the initial setup ready. For blockchain basics, I think there's Dapp University. I think that's pretty good. Dapp University. Yeah, this one is pretty good. Yeah, it was pretty good tutorials on YouTube for learning Solidity and Web3 in general. Yeah, he's pretty good. I know, like Hardik mentioned that he used to watch this too. I have never personally used this because I'm more of a reader than watching. So I'm more like I used to read Medium articles than to watch a video. But yeah, I think he used this, so he recommends it. Nice. But yeah, if you're stuck, we have provided code here. Feel free to like look over it, see what's happening. Yeah. Everything. And if you find any bugs, feel free to like also create a PR. Many students like usually create PRs. So like for example, Sableka, he added instructions and we gave him a contributor role on Discord. So yeah, like if you have any suggestions, even typos, if you even find typos, you can create a PRs for that, and we'll give you contributor roles. And it's gonna have some benefits in the future, which I can't talk about right now, but it's definitely gonna have lots of benefits. Maybe like I can't declare what's happening, but it's good to be early in some projects. Thanks everyone for joining. I don't know how, like if it's early morning for you or like whatever time it is. I know live sessions can be hard because we all have stuff going on in life. But thanks for joining. I really appreciate all of you for coming. This means a lot to me. And thanks for sticking around, asking questions. It's going to help other students who join or watch the stream later and weren't able to unfortunately join right now. It's definitely going to help them. If you have any questions, like you can still definitely ask, and what you guys are doing is going to help so many other students who come back later and watch the stream, and they're going to be wondering the same questions that you have. So yeah, thank you. if you don't have any questions, I guess I can stop streaming. It was really nice. The session went really smooth. I was nice and I was on time. So thanks everyone for joining, and I hope to see you around. Take care.